Hi, this is Kathy for Trans by Deaf, and this week we have been asked to discuss the topic of what resources do you need to have when you are getting ready to transition. This is one of the most important topics when you are thinking of transitioning. The biggest thing that I would say is you need to make sure that you have sufficient money to support yourself, that you have a way to support yourself, that you have a place to live. Oftentimes, when you transition, the people who you are living with will not accept you and ask you to leave or throw you out, and you will be living in the street. When you are getting ready to transition, the thing that you need to do is make sure that the people who you are going to tell are going to accept you and allow you to remain there. I would, as I did, have a backup plan. Even though I own my home is also deeded to my wife, so she is an equal and co-owner. I was afraid when I told her that she would kick me out, and I had made arrangements for me to move to a place where in the middle of nowhere in a trailer until I had time to react and find me a better place to be. I owned the land which the trailer was on, and I owned the other buildings that were there, and there would have been no problem with me living there. But you, when you're getting ready to transition, need to think, what are my parents going to do? What is my wife going to do? Where am I going to go if I'm kicked out of the place that I'm living? And you need to have you a plan in place. I think the job is also very important. You need to say, what is my employer going to do? Is he going to fire me? Is he going to allow me to continue working? Is he going to allow me to transition? Here in the South where I live, there are still a number of employers who wouldn't hesitate to fire you for transitioning on the job. True, my employer is not that way. My employer is an equal rights employer and would have a very difficult time doing that without having a lot of problems and red tape. But you still need to look at where your money stream is coming from and how you're going to get it. The third thing that you've got to do is you have got to, in preparing for transition, is make sure you talk to a psychologist and that you have your hormones and the other things and other medications, and that they will continue to flow during your transition. When you come out, all of a sudden there's overnight a whole bunch of stress problems that are related to it, and the only real solution is having enough money in the bank to handle them and having a place to live so that things can cool down. For the most part, most of the people, after 2 or 3 days having thought about it, will come around and return to being your friends. I only have a few that have not. But you need to consider that. You need to consider, if I'm absolutely out there, how will I get to work, where will I work, and where will I live? Well, those are the things which I think are most important on what resources do you need to transition. I would seriously say that you need to plan your resources and plan your living conditions in advance before you tell people that you're transitioning. I know in my case I had a plan of where I was going to live. I had made sure that I had read and talked to HR about the transition policy at my job, and I had sufficient money in the bank to support me for at least a month, maybe 2, if things did not work out well. Well, that's my take on the topic of resources needed to transition. I appreciate you joining me this week, and I hope to see you again next week. If you have a comment, please leave it in the box below. If you would like to see more TransbyDev videos, please subscribe. Bye.